Welcome into episode 95 of the Godly Young Men podcast. We are discussing the importance of holiday traditions today. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Thanksgiving week, yeah.
Thanksgiving week in 2 days, right? It'll be a happy Thanksgiving, hopefully for everybody. And we're excited. I mean, I love this time of year, the holiday time. A lot of people look straight past Thanksgiving right into Christmas, and they already have their Christmas lights and Christmas trees and everything up. Hold off. You know, we want to make sure that Thanksgiving gets its due. But with those things coming up, we thought that we would want to do maybe a bit of a different episode, but we want to discuss why this is important.
We haven't talked holidays much on this podcast, and I think it's we've tried to hit as many different areas of your life as a godly young man as we possibly can. Yep. A lot of our episodes, we don't even open our Bibles just because it's like, you know, there's obviously the Bible touches everything, but like, we want to talk about finances. We want to talk about starting our own business, as we did last week. We talk about a lot of these things. And so, holiday, to me, Joe, I think these are the two most enjoyable months of the year. Yeah. They've got some downsides. I hate that it gets dark at 5 p.m. That's
the gray in Tennessee is a little tough.
Yeah, the gray, kind of overcast. But like when it comes to pure enjoyment, I love Thanksgiving. Obviously, Christmas time is it brings joy to everybody. And then you get New Year's thrown in there as well. Like, I can't personally think of a 2-month stretch that is more enjoyable than November and December. And so, what we want to talk about is just kind of why is it important to celebrate holiday traditions? Is that something that we should be doing? And it's interesting, in the Christendom community, I guess specifically maybe Church of Christ. I know we have a lot of listeners that aren't Church of Christ, but the question of should Christians celebrate holidays comes up a good bit. And we're not going to spend a ton of time here, but there's some controversy around some of them. I mean, Thanksgiving, I suppose, doesn't get a lot of debate.
You better not get a lot of debate.
Exactly. But the other ones do. Easter, Christmas, and Halloween obviously get super debated. And so, yeah, I mean, Joe, I don't know if you want to give any thoughts on that. I mean, there's, again, specifically with Halloween, but even with Christmas and Easter, there's a lot of controversy of, like, should we even be celebrating?
Obviously, a lot of people take to the pagan side. Did you know a Christmas tree, you know, that's a pagan thing, or obviously the bunnies. And
the Easter bunny, yeah.
There are legitimate elements that I guess it is, but I guess if I ask my 6-year-old if he knows what paganism even is, like, he probably doesn't, but he does know what
Son, do you know what your Christmas tree represents? Like,
yeah,
no.
Exactly. Well, you do know that the god of fertility was a bunny. No, I mean, my kid just wants the Reese's eggs and whatnot, right. And I'm not about to deprive him of that. I think there's a good part to this, and it's so removed from the paganistic elements, in my opinion, that they're genuinely just good times for family. That some of the things we want to get into, they are controversial in the fact that you'll see some churches that are big in nativity scenes at Christmas,
and some that are very
some that are, you know, so it's not all paganism. Some are very much like Christmas is not a religious holiday because Jesus was not born on December 25th. And in reality, he probably wasn't. He was probably born sometime actually closer to Easter, somewhere in April. I don't think it's that big a deal personally. Anytime where we can have the world talk about Jesus, they only want to talk about baby Jesus. Yes, but it's Jesus, and we can use baby Jesus to talk about other things, but that's just my personal opinion. I really don't think as Christians we should make that big a deal. Make it so controversial on some of these things. You and I actually disagree on Halloween.
We do.
Will is more open on the Halloween. If you listen to our other podcasts, Think Deeper, we've gone into it on 2 different occasions, gotten more into our beliefs on
Halloween's the most controversial.
It is the most controversial, and I think for good reason. It's on the one hand, it's a kid holiday where you get to dress up and have some fun and eat candy. And on the other, I think there's a lot of demon, ghost, death, ghouls,
negative
elements, negative connotations, paganistic connotations, things like that. Pagan connotation. But yeah, as far as it goes with celebrating, yes, we should. Christians have always celebrated. Historically, Christians have always celebrated these. Paul knew that people were going to, celebrate these feast days and festivals and everything else, which are their holidays back then. He didn't have a problem with it. You can read Romans 14. Paul did not have a problem with anybody celebrating these feast days and holidays. Yeah. I just think this is a part of human tradition and human history that goes back literally almost to the beginning, with holidays and things like that. I don't think it's wrong for Christians to celebrate that.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and move us into kind of why is it important for godly young men to celebrate holiday traditions. And I want to focus on the tradition aspect of this for this episode. Obviously, traditions are most commonly associated with holidays because it's same day every year, same time of year. You kind of do the same things. And I think that's really important. The first reason is because there's a strong family emphasis with holidays, with holiday traditions. Our culture right now is so anti-family, very, anti, you see the social media posts and the memes about, not wanting to spend time with your family. And I got to go hang out with my uncle that voted for Trump or my uncle that voted for Kamala or whatever it is. And it's like just very anti-family. Like they put family in a negative light. You see even old movies and old shows where the family was kind of the central part of the show. that's not really the case anymore.
Right.
Parents are made fun of on sitcoms now, or even show like Outer Banks is a really big popular show on Netflix. Family is not really a part of that. I mean, I think the guy has his dad come back or whatever, but like family is kind of painted as the bad guy in a lot of the teen shows and things like that. And so I think a really good thing about holidays and celebrating traditions and all that is there's a strong family feel to it that you don't get a lot of other places in the culture.
And we call on you, golly, young man, don't be that guy who is against the family, who is trying to break free from the family traditions. Your family has a tradition every year of carving the turkey, and you're just going to bring a chicken just to be subversive. No, go along with the tradition. Traditions matter. Traditions are what ground us to one another. It really grounds us to the past. It tethers us to some of those things, and we in our individualistic culture want to sever all ties to the past. You are an amalgamation of where you came from. There's so many things that are really good that we celebrate. My family has certain traditions that, whether I'm celebrating with my wife's family, with our family, obviously, and going back for years and years and years, there's some traditions that'll absolutely come forward on Thanksgiving, on Christmas. It's what grounds us to the year and everything else. It's roots, exactly. That's a perfect word. Like, these roots matter, and so you see so many people that are just casting off the roots, and it really doesn't matter. It does matter. Please don't be the guy who tries to tell everybody that it doesn't matter, or this year we're not going to celebrate Thanksgiving, or we're not going to do this or that. We're not going to, maybe my family always gets together and plays the same board game, but I'm not going to because, I just don't think it matters. Like, participate, man. Participate in these things.
That's where the memories are made.
Yes, give thanks to God for this, and you're going to pass that down to your kids, and they're going to wonder about the same thing. Where did this come from? And you're going to be able to tell them. That's what matters, and that's what makes this so cool. Is I'm getting to show my son, and one of the big reasons that, going back to the 2 most enjoyable months, is now that we have kids, right? Yeah. I mean, it is the best. Honestly, gifts are nice, but I really don't care at this point. If I want it, I probably bought it throughout the year, as bad as that sounds. So by the time we get to Christmas, it's not about the gifts. Yeah, my wife is very nice.
The excitement on your kids'
faces. The kids walk out, and they think that Santa, I don't know, are you guys doing Santa?
Yeah.
I don't think my siblings do Santa. So they're against it, whatever it is, right? There's some debate around it, but them coming out and seeing what Santa brought them is the best. It's just absolutely the best. And seeing the look on the face. So when we go against those things and we take away the family traditions and we act like it doesn't matter all that much, you got to consider your kids and their kids and their kids and their kids. These things matter. So I don't want to go off. Well, I know I'm beating a dead horse, but man, this is so important.
It's a time to cherish with your family. And I do want to say, like, I know that there are some people who maybe watch and listen who are not as close to your family as we are. Like, we are very big family people. And maybe some of that is not your doing. Maybe you've got a rough family. Like, maybe your parents are absent, and I really feel for you if that's the case. But I do think there's also a lot of young men who are distant from their family as kind of their own doing. Like, they do their own thing. They're not really into their family. Yeah. I think that's more so who we're speaking to, of like, man, as much as you can, as much as it depends on you, as Scripture would say, be there for your family. Cherish the time with your family. Do everything that you can to participate in the family traditions and things like that, because it's just really special. Let's go and move into number 2, though. I'll start it, Joe, and then if you want to take it from here. The second reason why it's important for godly young men to celebrate holiday traditions is it's a time for reflection and gratitude. We live in such a fast-paced society. You think about the holidays with Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's, all of them in their own unique way kind of give you a time for reflection. They give you a time for gratitude. Thanksgiving, obviously, in the name, like you're giving thanks to the time for gratitude. But, Christmas, a lot of people get a lot of time off of work, and they're able to kind of just sit back and maybe not do as much, not obviously work as much, and kind of think. Yep. And then obviously New Year's, you're thinking about what you're going to do, what goals you're going to set. Like, it's just a time for reflection. I think that's really, really special, because me and Joe know more than anybody, in our fast-paced lives, there's not a lot of time for that always. There's not a lot of time for sitting back and reflecting on things, or just being thankful and showing gratitude for things. And so I think the holidays kind of give us a built-in excuse to do that. If that makes sense.
Absolutely. It's not just about getting things right. It's giving, and it is a time where you look back on the rest of the year and you go, man, how was this year? Was it good? Was it bad? Were there things I changed? Were there things that I need to grow in? What can I be grateful for? What took place this year that I can be very grateful for? And so we would encourage you, write a few of those things down. One of the traditions that my family has that I love is on Thanksgiving, we would always we take scissors and we cut out in paper some Thanksgiving themed, whether it be leaves or one year it was the pilgrim hats or whatever, and we cut those out in paper. And then everybody would have pens, or we'd have pens sitting by, and they could always write down something they're thankful for. And then you take tape and you'd stick it to the wall. And so you'd have these walls full of whatever that it was that year, turkeys one year that we cut it out, full of something that everybody was thankful for. And it's just a really cool tradition because it's a great time to sit down and give thanks. And Christmas is no less. Christmas is no different. I mean, it may not be Thanksgiving, but it still is a time to reflect, like you said, and especially as we get to the end of the year, to sit down in quiet reflection and wonder, how was the year? What do I need to change? What's going into the future? So yeah, I mean, I think that's a great point. I like that you have that on here. Just take some time, yes, for some gratitude, write some things down truly in a gratefulness journal, whatever it is, I would say, but then also reflect on the year, reflect on where you've come from, where you plan to go, what parts, how much you gave to your family and things like that and such. Number 3, and I jumped the gun a little bit on this, so I apologize, but we do want to double down again, and I think you have it a little bit different in this, but this is important. Number 3 is traditions and holidays are part of what makes this life so enjoyable. We are not Gnostic. We don't, the asceticism, I think is what it is, or Stoicism, where no fun, not at all. We just, it's life really is.
It's all about heaven, just about heaven.
It's all about heaven. It's not really about enjoying life right now. Like, as long as we just get to heaven. God gave us these things to enjoy. In my opinion, I think holidays are a godly thing, and this is why you have saints' holidays. We don't celebrate those as much as maybe others do, but it's just a time, again, of reflection, but a time where we can enjoy life for a second. Feasting days were big back then. In the book of Ecclesiastes, Solomon says over and over, like, eat, drink, and be merry. Just enjoy the fruits of your labor and have these times of feast to enjoy where God has brought you in life. And traditions or holidays are perfect times to ground yourself once again and to find those roots where you can just enjoy life for a second.
Have you ever noticed just people are, for the most part, if they're not out crazy like shopping and all the traffic, but like for the most part, people are in better moods in the month of December. They're in a really good mood as we get towards late November because these are things that just brighten up our life. These are things that, again, all the traditions and once everything we've already talked about, spending time with family and watching the Christmas movies and decorating the Christmas tree, and it's just such an enjoyable time of life. And it's one of those things that, if you're somebody who maybe, I don't really care that much about holidays, or I'm not really a big tradition guy, it's just our opinion that you're missing out on things that make this life really enjoyable. We're going to end here in a minute with like our top 3 favorite holiday traditions. And it's one of those things that if we didn't have those, it'd just be, okay, cool. It's a day we get to eat some good food and maybe, have some good dessert or whatever. But other than that, what makes it so big? Like, there's a vibrancy to it. It makes life more vivid and colorful and just more enjoyable. That's one of the things, and Joe already brought up kids. That is the really special thing about having kids, and you're nostalgic about all the things you did as a kid, and maybe you want to pass those things down to your kids and celebrate those same traditions with your kids, or maybe you want to start new ones. And all right, we're gonna, we always did this for our Thanksgiving or for our Christmas Eve night or Christmas morning, whatever. I've got a wife. I now have kids. Let's start our own thing. Let's do our own new traditional thing that our kids can look forward to every year, and in 30 years be nostalgic about. Again, it just brings so much color to life, and I'm probably not describing this very well, but I feel like that's one of the things that I really wanted to get across with this episode is that, like, let's enjoy this life. Yeah. Let's, things like Christmas music, like, somebody, we were doing another podcast, and somebody asked, should we just listen to Christian a cappella music? Like, is that the only thing we should be listening to? And I don't think so. I think God gave us these things.
Right.
I agree. I think God gave us these things to enjoy. I don't think God was, saw us create musical instruments and the invention. It's really not even an invention of music. Like, we discovered music. I don't think God did all these things for us to just say, no, we can only listen to Amazing Grace a cappella. Like, I don't think that's the case. Similarly, with holidays and things that aren't necessarily inherently spiritual, there is room there for us to just enjoy the moments and enjoy those things. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I love that point. Like, we serve a God of joy.
Yeah.
He does want us to enjoy life. He gave us things like music, like holidays, like family, like, the things that we get scared of, sex and things like that. Those are for our enjoyment. We do get to enjoy that stuff. Great food is for our enjoyment. Good music. They're in heaven with instruments, right? I mean, like, music is a part of God and the pantheon, right? Like, of being up there in the heavenly host with all the angels. We see that there. We get to experience a part of that. And I think these times a year are a perfect time to just enjoy life. And so what we would call on you to do is slow life down a little bit. Make sure that you are giving time for traditions. I guess we can get into it because I was about to get into some other ones. There for a few years, I was so busy with stuff that, like, Christmas candy and things like that were great traditions. didn't have a ton of time. Just, oh man, we didn't get to it this year. Slow down.
Yeah.
Take some time. These things matter. It is something to pass down that if you go too many years without doing it, your kids don't know to do it. And boom, something that's been going on for the last 60, 70, 80 years and your family is dead because you didn't take the time to do it. Take some time. Slow life down at this point. Just enjoy the small little things. Enjoy that Christmas movie. Enjoy this Christmas candy with your family. Enjoy this holiday tradition on Thanksgiving and watching football. And nobody wants to watch football these days. Like, do it because we're Americans. That's what we do. Is we watch the
Cowboys lose on Thanksgiving.
Exactly.
That's
the
what we
Cowboys
do.
and Lions lose every Thanksgiving. That's what we do as Americans. We eat the turkey and you go, oh, well, the turkey's not that great. Then buy yourself a ham on the side. That's great. But you better have turkey because that's what we do here in America. These things matter. It's enjoyable, man. It's a good time.
I love your point about making sure that you create time for things. I've got a couple of, I remember there's one year that I was like, man, I want to watch every major Christmas, not every, the big major Christmas movies that are out there, Elf and Home Alone and Miracle on 34th Street.
Jingle All the Way, right?
Yeah, never actually watched that one. How the Grinch Stole Christmas, all these. I was like, all right, Rachel, this was before we had kids. I was like, all right, babe, we're going to, maybe one a week for December, 2 a week for December. I think we watched one or two. We just filled up our schedules where we couldn't. I've got a buddy that we always go Christmas shopping together every year. Last year we didn't find time, and so that's one of those things that find the time. Find the time to celebrate those traditions. All right, Joe, this is going to be a shorter podcast, which is totally okay because we went long on our last one, and we will probably go long on the next one. Top 3 family. I guess I should ask. Did you have anything else to add to any of these important reasons why we should celebrate holiday traditions?
No, I mean, I think you hit it hard on the ones that I
There's something special about passing it down to your kids. I think
there really
we probably
is.
didn't talk about that enough. But
I mean, yeah, we mentioned it, but the generations, we talk a lot on this podcast thinking generationally, 250 years down the line. It's things like this that tether the generations together. Like, I will have a connection, Lord willing, to my great-great-great-grandchild 250 years down the line. I will have a connection to him because he's doing the exact same thing. He's making the exact same Christmas candy with the exact same recipe that my grandmother made. How cool is that?
That's pretty cool.
I mean, that's really, really cool. Don't lose sight of that. So if I were the knucklehead that came in like, well, I'm going to change it up just to change it up. Look, if there's a way to improve on grandma's, peanut butter fudge recipe, great. You can improve on that a little bit as you go, but don't stop making peanut butter fudge just to be subversive or just because it doesn't really matter that much. These things do actually matter, and that's the point we're trying to get across is we don't want to beat a dead horse. We don't want to go long on this of just saying the same things, but yeah, think generationally. That's what godly young men do, and these are the things that help really pass it down. And if you can't pass down simple traditions like holiday traditions, you're not going to be able to pass down, some of the things that really matter, in my opinion. Exactly. So these are just... take some time, man, and make sure that you're... And look, we speak to a lot of 15, 16, 17-year-olds. You don't have your own family. You don't have your own kids to pass this down to. I think it's important for you this year to just, Lord willing, if you have your family and are close to your family, take some time to talk to the crazy uncle that nobody wants to talk to or whatever else, to honor your grandparents and to sit by and to listen to them tell the same story for the 4th time. That's okay. That's okay. Take some time for family. Enjoy the family time. Don't be rushing around. Don't run to the video games. Don't run to the XYZ just to get away from everybody. Like, stay in it with your family. Yeah. Stay up until 1 a.m. playing Monopoly and wanting to beat each other to death. Those are family traditions that matter, and nobody's going to remember when they were playing Super Smash Brothers or Bros or whatever, until 1 a.m. that they do every single other night, but they will be telling the story to their kid the time that their uncle slapped them upside the head when they won at Monopoly. I mean, those are the things that makes family fun. So don't miss out on those opportunities.
All right, Joe, let's do our top 3. Let's go 3, 2, 1 and take turns. Holiday traditions. I'll go first with my number 3. This is something that came about when Rachel and I got married, and if she's listening, she's actually probably gonna be surprised that this is in my top 3. Every Christmas Eve, we spend the night at her parents' house, and what we do that night is we just have a big meal and just play a bunch of games. These are usually, maybe sometimes board games, but I think it was, Pictionary one year. It was, I think last year we did like karaoke. We did, what's it called? Like charades, like just big team games, fun. Like, it's just fun. Like, I love games. I'm a big game person. And so it's just one of those things, like, we just have the TV on to some random Christmas movie, got Christmas music playing, get together, and we play games. And my wife and I have talked about how much longer we're going to be able to do that now that we have 2 kids. As Jackson is 3 this year and is really going to be able to start enjoying some of these things. But as of right now, I'd say that comes in at number 3 for me. It's just kind of that whole Christmas Eve vibe is just really fun for us.
There are so many things like that.
Yeah, 3 might be hard for you.
3 are really tough. My family's big on traditions. Since I already mentioned the leaves or the Thanksgiving Day things that we stick to the wall, that is one of my favorites. But I won't use that one. We always get up on Thanksgiving morning, and we're making mock crab dip, which sounds weird, but it's just incredible. And that's always a tradition every Thanksgiving morning. And we watch the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
We do too, yeah.
We comment on it, and yeah, sometimes it's like, okay, let's go. This is ridiculous. But we always wait for Santa, and we're just eating snacks in the morning. My mom usually makes something good for breakfast. And so we're all waiting around, and then a lot of times we have like a lot of people coming over for Thanksgiving. At least we used to, and so we were all getting ready for like literally like 100 people to show up, and there was just this buzz in the air, and we still try to keep that alive with the mock crab dip, watching the Thanksgiving Day Parade, and waiting for Santa Claus to come, and then the kids get all excited. So yeah, that's number 3.
Nice. My number 2 is So I'm a big stickler for never listening to Christmas music until after Thanksgiving.
Amen.
And my very specific reason, I don't know if I've ever gotten into this on the podcast before, it's probably not super relevant to a lot of our discussions, but is because if I start listening to it now as we're in the middle of November, I'm going to be sick of it by Christmas. And I don't want that. I want to enjoy it. I want to really enjoy it for about 1 month and not be burned out on it by Christmas. Yep. But one of the things we do is typically we'll do our Thanksgiving here at mom and dad's house, and then on Friday or maybe on Saturday we will drive to my grandparents' house and celebrate Thanksgiving with them. Now that Thanksgiving is past, we always turn on Christmas music, and we always will stop and grab a Starbucks peppermint mocha.
Nice.
And as we're driving up there to enjoy, and we got the Christmas music, and we're
cool.
still celebrating Thanksgiving, but it's almost like the turning of the page, and that, and we always, at some point we'll go look at Christmas lights and listen to Christmas music, and that's kind of 2 different ones, but that would be probably my number 2, is we always find a way to do that every single year, and it's like the official unveiling of Christmas music. It's just really fun.
That is really cool. I like that. My number 2 is every Christmas, I don't even know when this started. Christmas Eve is family gifts. Christmas morning is Santa gifts.
Nice.
And so you get 2 different sides. Christmas Eve, we always watch a Christmas movie.
Is it the same one every year, or do you change it up?
We change it up. It used to be, sometimes this is Christmas morning, but they would ask for It's a Wonderful Life, which is like a 3-hour movie. Like, I got gifts
also
open.
not the most riveting movie out
there. Yeah,
there.
exactly. And as a kid, you're like, can we please just fast forward this thing? I want to open gifts. But we would always do family gifts, and that way the kids had a pretty good delineation between like, this is mom and dad, we got you these gifts, and then Santa's, and we would never wrap the Santa gifts on Christmas morning, so you'd come right out and you'd see your Xbox, or you'd see your hockey jersey or the bike or whatever, and you don't have to unwrap anything, and that was always the coolest thing for me. Cool. And so yeah, it's a different way of doing it. My wife's family is like, what? Why in the world would you do it that way? They just unwrap all their presents, and I don't think they do Santa. It's like, you got to figure out how to do, well, this one's from Santa, this one's from mom and dad.
Almost stretches it out in a way to where it's more enjoyable. Yeah, I like that. My number 1 is similar to Joe's number 3. Thanksgiving is my favorite day of the year. And it's my favorite day of the year because I always remember growing up, we'd wake up. It's exactly like you described. The house was abuzz. It's decorated really nicely. We always had the Macy's Day Parade on. I knew that there were going to be 20, 30 people coming over. My aunt and uncle and cousins, they don't come as much anymore, but they used to be there every year. And me and my cousin, we still are close, but like, we loved hanging out together. And Thanksgiving was one of the only times we were able to do that. And so the excitement of my cousins coming over, we're going to get to hang out and have all this fun. It's just going to be a day of fun. I'm 24 years old, and that still lingers with me. Just the excitement of, like you said, in the morning we're eating snacks. We don't usually eat till 1 or 2, so we're playing board games and playing card games, and people are starting to trickle in, and there's just an excitement to Thanksgiving Day that I really hope never fades away. And so, yeah, that's by far my favorite day of the year, and that's not necessarily just one traditional thing, but I always have the football games on. Like, Thanksgiving just as a day is my favorite holiday tradition. There's so much. It's so much fun.
Yeah, that's so good. I love it. That buzz it's unlike anything else.
It's hard to describe, but I know exactly what you're talking about when you said it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Just getting ready. The number 1 for me, actually, go figure, it's surrounding food, is I mentioned about the baking of Christmas candy.
Nice.
This was a time where we do a lot of different ones, and we'd give it to people at my dad's business, and then we'd also give it to people at the church, and then we'd give it to people around the neighborhood. And so we were making like massive batches of these things. Just
do Buckeyes and Tiger Butter and stuff like that?
Nice. Buckeyes and Tiger Butter and turtles and cookie dough truffles and panoche and potato candy, and I mean, literally there was like probably 9 different candies. And so yeah, you'd be rolling all this stuff out. We do Ritz crackers with peanut butter, and you dip them in white chocolate. It's just so many good ones, I tell you what. And we turn on the Chipmunks Christmas, and we would listen to Christmas music, but it always had to be Chipmunks Christmas when we get started, and just listen to that old, and the old album, not the new one. The new one is garbage, the old one from the 90s. And yeah, just it's a good time. So
apologies for the self-indulgent.
I know this is very
self-indulgent, but the point is, hopefully, if you stuck with us this long, there is so much enjoyment to be found. And notice all of our, I think, pretty sure all of our top three, both of our top threes, family. It was about family and the things you do with your family. And so I think that's probably the biggest takeaway that I would ask our Godly Young Men listeners to take away from this is, man, enjoy the family time. I don't know if you have anything else to add, but
just enjoy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving.
Very happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. It will be a very enjoyable year. It's funny. I totally forgot. Can't believe this didn't make my top three. Should have mentioned it. We play football every year for Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
every single year we play backyard football, and
That's so much fun.
My team always wins. That's probably my favorite tradition, also. But that goes without
It's just because I don't show up to your Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
exactly.
That'd
be way different.
Exactly. But enjoy Thanksgiving, and we'll be back maybe next week with a little bit more serious of an episode. But hope you enjoy your holidays, and we'll be back next week. Thanks for listening.